think from history, China has learned that when the economy is open, China is making economic progress. When the door is closed, that will only result in backwardness. And in addition, if you look at the history of APEC, the open market actually will lead to the prosperity of the APEC countries. If you look at the GDP, for example, it has increased from 19 trillion in 1989 to nearly 50 trillion in 2018. And trade specifically has increased many times, 5 times. And if you look at services investment, the same situation is true. So open market is important. And China, as the second largest economy and the second largest importer, China should really play an important role. And any decoupling of the economy will not be in China's interest and will not be in the interest of the APEC member countries, and also is not in the interest of the world at large.
So, Dr. Hassan, is this something that Malaysia welcomes, and specifically, what's Malaysia as an APEC member looking to work on with China?
Yeah, it's true that a few months back, Malaysia trade with China has come to the pre-pandemic level, even though the COVID-19 is still scourging Malaysia and also partly in China. I think the main reason for a very active trade between these two countries, Malaysia and China, is the trust that the leaders put together, Kuala Lumpur and Beijing, and also the openness of win-and-win solution between the two countries. For example, Joyang, 10 years ago, it is unheard of cooperation between China and Malaysia in defense technology, for example. But today, both countries are very active. The key issue here is that we trust each other, and when we trade, both sides get the benefit of it, not only one-sided benefit. So I think openness and trust is the key word between Malaysia and China trade activity.
All right, well, Dr. Hassan, Mr. Lee, do stay with us a bit longer. We'll get back to you in a moment. We just want to have a look more at the shared goals by APEC. 26 years ago, APEC adopted the Bogor goals, aiming for free and open trade by 2020. And this year, APEC leaders will replace the expiring Bogor goals and launch what they're calling a post-2020 vision. And the new goals are expected to further promote what they call free and open markets. And they also want to make economic policy across the region more dynamic and resilient. And the 3 major items on the agenda are responding to the COVID-19 economic crisis, women's economic empowerment, and as the region faces growing environmental challenges, reorienting economic policies towards sustainability. Malaysia is hosting this year's virtual meeting, as we said, and will be in charge of drafting a final document on a post-2020 vision. And it's expected to serve as a roadmap for years to come. Well, back to our guests. Mr. Lee, the message from Chinese leaders is supporting wider economic recovery. Now, how can China do that when the pandemic has set people and the flow of goods back?
Yes, I think the first thing China should do, particularly at this at this juncture in time, is to cooperate with APEC member countries specifically and the rest of the world to deal with the pandemic, particularly in the pandemic prevention and development of vaccine and so on. And in longer term, I think China, as a supporter of a multilateralism and also the vision of APEC post 2020, China is going to work with the APEC members to boost the free trade and investment, and that is going to benefit the region, the APEC members. And secondly, China as a participant in the region, China will contribute its market, for example, its market potential by opening China's market, and by allowing foreign investment goods, and at the same time China will continue to work with the countries under the umbrella of APEC, for example, to improve connectivity, to improve the development of new economies, and to develop innovative relations in terms of trade and investment. And all of those, will be beneficial for the APEC countries as well as the world.
And Dr. Hassan, our last question to you. We heard the goals of APEC beyond 2020. So looking ahead, what areas specifically should China and other APEC members focus on to encourage economic growth, bearing in mind those goals?
Talking about post-2020, surely it must be the post-pandemic of COVID-19. But to be honest, for the last 4 years, APEC members has achieved nothing. Partly reason is due to the President Trump administration of the United States. But again, President Xi this morning has set the tone. And with his openness, multilateralism, no more protectionism, and also shared prosperity by China. And if you look at the speeches by the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Singapore, or Thailand, and also President Jokowi of Indonesia, are all in parallel with President Xi's vision of post-2020, which is more openness, no more unilateral decision, and no more protectionism. I think that's the key word, and they have to work, APEC members have to work within that time frame. And I think President Xi has said it well enough, and see what happens tomorrow and tomorrow night, whether President Trump will be in the meeting or not. I think President Xi has set the tone, and APEC should work around that particular framework.